Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I talked to entrepreneur and growth marketing expert Ross McDaniel. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks so much, Jason. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. And we're going to talk about the secret to attracting high quality customers. I mean, everybody's going to want to know the answer to this one because everyone's launching a service or a product, right? I just ended up recently launching Bengo AI, my startup. So I'm definitely on the lookout for high quality customers. So let's talk about the first thing you tell somebody who works with you or who you've worked with or given advice to, how they can attract high quality customers.
Yeah, I mean, well, first things first, like you said, everybody that has something they're selling is looking for new customers, myself included, right? And so I think anybody out there that says they're a guru, they've got the magic potion, they could be largely right at a macro level, but when it gets down to the nuts and bolts, everybody's got to figure out what the formula actually is or what the specific ingredients and ratios are to that larger secret sauce. At FinSpos, we work a lot with home service businesses, so we're talking a lot about the local growth formula. That's visibility, competency, social proof, and referral. Those four key pillars, right? But really, there's a lot of pieces underneath each of those four pillars that matter.
And I know a lot of people that I've been talking to more recently are all about getting reviews online from their customers. I just had some HVAC guys do some duct work for me, and they right there on the spot said, "Can you post this review for us right now?"
Good for them.
With pictures. And I was like, "Okay, fine." So I did it. But how do you get a lot of reviews for your business if you just launched or you just started? Like, that's kind of a catch-22, right?
Yeah, I think there's layers to it. I mean, when we're starting out, if we're starting from zero, well, really the only thing people can review is you as the business owner, or I guess a brand as an entity. And I think that is a safe place to start. I think if we're on the zero end of the 0-2 spectrum, like your merits as a business owner and the integrity and the way you communicate and all of those things, those are reviewable. I would say, yeah, start there.
Yeah, and then you get like a lot of businesses that focus on getting those good reviews, but then they can't help but stop the ones that they get bad reviews, right? And you can't stop that, right? You're always going to have a customer who just wasn't quite happy with the service. And if I'm being quite honest, that this company I mentioned, like, they did a good job, but they left out a piece of the service that they had promised me on the phone. So I didn't mention that in the review, and I should have in hindsight. But, how do you combat the bad reviews that are going to happen?
Yeah. You definitely should never delete a bad review. That's kind of like the podium that I stand on and the flag that I plant. Bad reviews are really just opportunities to highlight culture, values, and how you are as a brand entity. But I do think the way we combat getting those bad reviews is by heading off issues at the pass. And what does that mean? That means showing up on time and over communicating. I guess you could say under promising and over delivering.
Right.
For you, even if they never actually delivered the one thing they sold you, if they had told you why on the front end that this actually isn't going to happen today, you probably wouldn't have cared a whole lot. Would have rescheduled and gone from there.
Yeah, it just made me realize that the next time I need someone, I'm not going to hire them, right? I'm going to look for somebody else. And that's kind of the bad part of it, unless I mention it to them later on and call them. But this goes on to what people are willing to spend on a company that has good reviews, right? Like, they had good reviews. That's why I went with them. So talk a little bit about why businesses or customers are willing to spend more at businesses that have good reviews versus the ones that might just been referred to them.
Well, I think that social proof component, we live in a very social influence forward society, right? Where honestly, we're gauging purchase decisions based on what our peers have done. And everybody's afraid of messing up and buying the wrong thing or using the wrong people, or sometimes even like using the least popular people, right? And so when we get social proof in the form of 5-star Google reviews, I mean, that until they're trumped, that's what it is, 5-star Google reviews. Well, that is actually social currency. And the more social currency you have, the more you can buy customers at a lower cost. And that's really what we're gunning after as a business.
And when talking about buying customers, this kind of leads into ads, right? I mean, we literally just launched our ads on Meta and Google this morning, and a press release going out tomorrow. So like, we're excited to see what happens from that. When should you do ads and when should you not do ads, and what are the differences in them, and how should you be effective at them?
Yeah, I just led a whole different webinar on this, talking about when does a small business, particularly the people asking this question are small businesses, right? Somewhere on that 0 to scale.
Mm-hmm.
And, when is really a function of, do we have resources that are actively deployed elsewhere in the business that are generating a return? If the answer is yes, move on to the next stage of the flow chart. And that next stage of the flow chart is, do you actually know who your customer is and have a simple channel of engagement that customer could enter into? If the answer is yes there, well, then you have to go find, what's a channel I want to test? Every paid ads channel out there is truly just an avenue for testing. What works for you may not work over here. I've actually seen, taking HVAC, for example, I've seen Meta ads work swimmingly for this HVAC company in Atlanta, Georgia. And then a similar HVAC company in Los Angeles just flounders with Meta. And we do really well on Google, right? And so each channel needs to be treated in isolation, and you have to have some of those prerequisites in place, like making sure your business can stay afloat without them.
Right.
And it's not your last dollar. And then you just go test and evaluate.
We decided to try both at the same time, like Meta and Google, to see which one performs best. That's kind of how we're looking at it. And the whole point about, word of mouth, right? I mean, this is a big, especially service businesses, right? When you're, doing home restoration or lawn or, whatever. There's a lot of people on like Facebook, for example, that'll say, hey, anybody knows anyone who can rip out my carpet and put in some hardwood flooring? And then you get a whole flurry of responses from friends or not friends or just random strangers. So how do you get yourself integrated in that to your advantage?
That's a good question. I think that's more on the organic side of social media, where we're just getting involved with communities, identifying a community that has a couple of champions in it and making sure that you're building great inroads with those champions, and they'll do the rest. I know mastermind groups have been really great for our business personally, just getting plugged in and sharing free value. That's the ticket right there. It's the free value in those groups. And
I think so too.
It just happens. Yeah. Have you had much luck with that on your end?
We have, but see, most of the startups or businesses that I've been running are not service based. They're more like, platforms for people to use, so we're more about starting conversations to let them know, hey, this exists to solve your problem type of thing. And then we do see that influx of organic growth. So I think it does work if you're not trying to sell something, and if you're just trying to be a part of the conversation and, answer people's questions. And then eventually they can see, okay, well, this resource is valuable. I'm going to jump onto whatever platform they're pitching. But at the same token, I like this whole thing about Google reviews and bringing in new customers through that. So I want you to kind of expand a little bit more, because a lot of people have told me personally, and I get this every day, is how complicated it is to use Google ads, because it is kind of, it can be a little tricky, right? Same with Meta. Meta is a nightmare. So talk a little bit about how a business owner can actually start using it and what they should look for.
Yeah, well, it's definitely hard during an election cycle as well. So I think everybody that's running paid ads is experiencing that. And here we are post-election. I've already seen campaigns bounce back. They are agnostic to red, white, or blue, but for some reason, those algorithms just get trounced. On Google, I do think the industry you're in matters. If we're looking at where Google Ads sits, or search in general sits in a marketing funnel, it's definitely one step down, closer to the decision point. People are aggressively searching for whatever your product or service is. They're in the market per se. And so when you have search ads running, you're really saying, hey, give me all the people that are actively looking for what I have to offer. So your positioning is a little bit different. The way you talk to them in your ad headlines is a little bit different. You can be more aggressive. I think a lot of times what happens, though, is because Google is so complicated, they give you so many great options to engage with them, that people get overwhelmed and end up having campaigns that are targeting anybody and everybody. So while further down in the funnel, it's still not quite as targeted as it needs to be.
Yeah, targeting is always a tough one, especially like you mentioned earlier. You have to know who your target audience is, and like some people just might not know. Like, yeah, sure, they might think it's homeowners, certain age groups, certain neighborhoods, but They might be leaving out a demographic that they didn't know about. And once you target them, right, let's talk about the fact that you've done your Google ads, you're getting a bunch of leads. How do you close them and get the sale? Because, for example, like when I contact a service-based business, I don't just hire them, right? I call a couple, and the one that makes the most sense to me is the one that I choose. So how do you effectively close those sales?
Yeah. Well, the closing side is, to me, the best way for the business owner's culture and the business's core values to shine through. I think sales is very relational. I think that if you have a great lead flow system and a great fulfillment system in place in your business, it's still only going to be as good as that piece in the middle that's actually taking the sale to the operations. And for service-based businesses, a lot of times that person is simply an admin person answering the phone.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have somebody that knows your business inside and out, believes in it, and is able to carry on a conversation with somebody. The best anecdote I have on that is Jen over at Augusta Transmission Clinic here in Augusta, Georgia. She is hands down the best person I've ever met on the other end of a phone. And what she does is get to know you as a regular. I mean, it's just my car and my wife's car, right? But there's something that matters there that wins you over. It's a winsome interaction that communicates trust.
That's awesome. I really like that. Like forming I mean, that's how you get investors. That's how you get clients. That's how you get journalists to write about you. You form relationships, right? You don't want to pitch them anything. It's more about relational. And I totally agree with that. So now that you got your customers and you said your leads and your funnel and your closing, it's all good to go. How do you turn those customers into advocates who now support you and promote you so that you don't have to do as much work?
Yeah, that's a great, I think I've said every time you've asked, it's a great question.
I'm full of them.
Yeah, full of the great questions. No, I think that's where this becomes the Wild West. It's unique. I love, there's a book by the late John Ruhlin called Giftology. I'm not sure if
that sounds familiar for sure.
Yeah, he actually passed away earlier this year. Pretty tragic, but his whole philosophy on referral is similar to what we just talked about on converting the sale, which is building this relationship. And the relationship can't be manufactured. You know, everybody's been through some sort of sales training or things like that. But I think what we actually have to do is truly care about the customer, and not just truly care in the sense that the Walmart employee that's, you know, sending you on your way out the door cares about you, but truly care about your customer and the product that you're delivering them. And in that care, find ways that you can ask them to share the experience they had with you with somebody else that you can also care about, right? And so it's not just a self-serving endeavor. You truly have value that you want to share with as many people as possible. And I think that's contagious. And that's what that book, Giftology, really maps out.
I love that. That's such a great answer. And if you could give one piece of advice to people listening or watching of what not to do when they're trying to grow their sales, is the common mistake people come to you and say, here's the problem I've been having, and then you fix it, right? What is it?
It's going to sound weird coming from an ads guy, but don't launch ads too soon. I think that is a common pitfall, and it's a money pit that people end up saying, wow, Google or Meta or whatever else doesn't work for me because I threw a bunch of money at it and didn't get anything back. And that's the worst place to be. You lost money.
When you say you didn't get anything back, what exactly are they? What's happening to them? What's the problem that's happening? They're not getting sales on their website. Is it something not built properly? Like, what are you finding that they have to do? That they have to do better?
More often than not, it's just attribution. More often than not, people are going in and launching ads, and they're still getting business, and they're probably getting business from those ads, but they have no means of tracking it. So their emotions rule the day, and I don't actually know if these things are coming through this, so this must be ineffective, right? And I think that's what happens.
Makes a lot of sense. So if they want a better solution, talk about what you offer and how they can find it.
Yeah. FencePost is a home service lead gen agency. Typically, what we do is we help home service business clients generate better quality, larger volume of new customers, right? And we're doing that. We tactically execute everything through a 4-ingredient formula, which is visibility, competency, social proof, and referral. You can find us on Instagram. We do some really cheesy content. I can't believe I'm asking y'all to go there. And then also we do some free 5-minute video assessments just to take a look at how your local growth formula stacks up. So head over to fencepost.co and you can grab one there.
Awesome. Thanks, Ross. Appreciate it. Check out fencepost.co, guys, if you need some help with your ads. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next episode.